Welcome to Netflix versus Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema each week, sees a couple of things, rates them out of five, stays at home, sees a couple of things, rates them out of five, puts them up against each other, and sees where money has been better spent this week. Were we better off leaving our houses or staying at home? My name is Tosin, and I am the host based up in the middle of the United Kingdom, a place called Bromsgrove near Birmingham. Joining me, as always, on the Isle of Wight is Shaun Harris.
I'm actually in Bournemouth tonight.
Joining us as always from Bournemouth is Shaun Harris.
Oh yeah,
And yes, and on the Isle of Wight is Sharon Boland.
I'm still here. Hello.
This is one of these things I always wonder because whenever I do the intros, I always introduce Shaun first and then Sharon next. And in my head, I was trying to think, okay, what do I always do? And I realized what it is because I am a good Nigerian boy, and our entire culture is built around respect of age. So I always go in order of age. That's
fair
what I
enough. There
realized.
you go.
I
Thank you.
always, yeah, no, that's the thing, man. I always say that, like in Nigeria, the older you get, the more powerful you get. It just happens. So yeah, so
That's why it's like Eshe, isn't it? Eshe and Oshe. So Eshe or for
Eshe.
a senior. Yeah.
Essentially, Eshe is thank you. That's what you say to somebody who's older than you, and Oshe is something what you say to your mate or someone who's younger than you. So it's kind of like yeah. So I just realized I was like yeah, that's why. It's because Shaun, I am bowing to you as the elder of this podcast and
Right. Okay. Well, I'll take
introducing
that
you.
as a compliment.
In Nigeria, it's nothing but a
Yeah,
compliment.
that's good.
It's actually nothing but a compliment. But all right, cool. Let's kick off with what we have been seeing in the cinema this past, I think about 2 weeks. It's been about 2 weeks since we recorded.
Yeah, there's been a lot on, is there? I don't think there's too much on next week. They're bringing out a lot of re-release and a lot of
Yeah, there's a lot of
uh, recurring
Lord
ones.
of the Rings and the Goonies and
50 years of Jaws.
50
Yeah.
Years of Jaws. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, so there isn't
they
that
must
much.
do quite well with those, I think.
I think they are doing a lot well. They're a lot better. It's almost kind of like going back to the days, and every now and then we do stuff, start reminiscing about the golden halcyon days of cinema, and going back to the days where they would re-release things before everybody had,
Yeah.
VHS at home and everything like that, and they would just re-release Wizard of Oz like 15 times in the
15
cinema, and
Yeah.
times. All the
yeah,
Disney films.
yeah, and I think they are beginning to realize the benefit of that, or like, that, oh, that is actually a massive thing. Have an event, making an event, release this thing because there's a whole generation who have never seen these films on a massive cinema screen. So yeah, it works out quite well. But also I think it's the fact that Superman has been released,
Yeah.
and people are doing the usual thing when a big massive superhero tentpole gets released. They just go, let's just let them have the cinema for a couple of weeks. We're just going to let them have the cinema for a couple of weeks, and we'll come back out when people have stopped paying attention to that. So obviously, that answers my question of what I've seen in cinema. I've seen Superman, which was the only thing I think that was in the cinema that we had not reviewed already, quite frankly. And I think you guys got to see a preview, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring her
For
back.
Secret Screaming, Bring Her Back. Yeah.
Secret Screaming, Bring Her Back. That is from, I think, the Philippou brothers from Australia. The same guys who did Talk to Her.
Yeah.
No, no, it wasn't. No, it's not Talk to Her,
Talk
was
to
it?
me. Talk to
Talk to
me.
Me. That was it. Talk
Yeah.
to Me.
With the
Yeah.
hand. Beep,
Yeah.
beep.
Yeah, mixing the two things up. All right, cool. So that was Bring Her Back. Bring Her Back. And how about at home? What have we seen?
Well, I've rewatched the Battle of Britain, but the thing I don't think we reviewed is and I hadn't seen it before, is Daylight's End. It's on
Daylight's
Netflix.
End.
Yeah, 2016 thing, but that was on Amazon.
Sure, I have to tell you, man, I have such respect for your dedication to trawling through Amazon to to find the most random stuff that they
Yeah.
have up there. That probably the people who made it have forgotten about. They've probably
Yes.
forgotten they made this stuff, but no, Sean will find it. Sean will find it. Daylight's End. And Sharon, I know you have also seen on Prime Video, you've also seen Heads of State.
Heads of State. Yes. And I've also, though I don't need to review it, I've also been catching up on the US seasons of Ghosts. I've seen seasons
Oh
three and
yeah.
four of Ghosts US.
Oh, there's a four now.
Yeah, seasons 3 and 4.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't. I know. I see that they said new seasons, but I didn't realize that there was a. That means that they must have not shown us. They must have not shown us three earlier, and then all of a sudden they just brought out three and four.
Yeah, I think they've sort of dropped them all quite quickly. Yeah, three
Uh,
and four.
All right, because that happens sometimes because of some weird rights issue where we don't get a show in the UK for ages and all of a sudden, boom. But anyway, let us kick off. Let us kick off where the big noise is this week. Let us kick off with Superman. Let's no,
Do,
this
do.
is yes. Now, the thing is with when it comes to superhero movies, and I think when it comes to superheroes, full stop, they come from the comics. And in the comics, you always have this whole thing where they go on for too long, they become big, they become unwieldy, they start collapsing under the weight of their own nonsense, and then they go, you know what? Scratch it all and start again. And they just sort of like scratch it and they start again and they give you like an origin story. And this is kind of where and I always thought for ages this will happen with the films. I always thought that it would happen with the Marvel movies. I think the Marvel movies are probably getting there, quite frankly. And I thought it would happen in Marvel movies, but it's already happened with the DC movies. So the DC movies, if you thought, hang on, we saw Superman 5 minutes ago. Wasn't he Henry Cavill? Wasn't Ben Affleck Batman? Forget about that. That's all gone. That's been wiped under the carpet. We're doing it. We're starting all over again. And this is the first real movie of them starting all over again. It used to be called the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe. It's not just called the DCU for the DC Universe. Sean, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was. I was going to say, I think, they've gone because they tried to be, whereas I think the Marvel films had a sort of lightheartedness. The DC films that come out recently were sort of quite dark in a way and quite serious and
Yeah.
quite, and I think perhaps they thought, you
Yeah,
know,
well, I think essentially whatever was going on in DC was not working. The
yeah,
timeline was all over the place. It
they
was really,
tried,
really
yeah,
confused. And I still think that what they tried to do is they tried to run before they walk. They tried to
yes,
catch up with Marvel, who had about a 5 or 6 year head start on them, and that just meant that they kept getting good ideas and wasting them. And just like Man of Steel, the last Superman movie, I maintain the first half of that is excellent. The second half of that is a mess. And, but anyway, but this is not one. This is the new one. James Gunn has come back. James Gunn is now in charge. He directed the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. He's now in charge of DC Studios. So he's in charge of the whole thing. And he thought we're gonna kick off with Superman. He wrote this, and in the process of writing it, he realized, you know what, I really, really want to direct this. So we now have Superman. Superman is David Corenswet. You have Lois Lane as Rachel Brosnahan. This has a great cast. I think everybody in this film is actually really, really well cast. You got Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, and they make a decision in this film to not give you the origin story all over again,
yeah,
which I personally thank them for because I've seen that way too many times. So by the time this film starts, Superman is already Superman. Superman is Superman. The first time you meet him, he's in the middle of a fight. You get to and through that they show you the fact that Metropolis knows who Superman is. They know he's an alien. All this kind of stuff. You get to meet him, and as the film starts, they sort of start off and then they fill in the blanks as you're going along as to how Let Luthor sees him, what's going on with Lois Lane, how does he work as Clark Kent at the Daily Planet. And I feel like they just assume that Superman is such a big thing that many people know about Superman. Many people know about Clark Kent. People know about this kind of stuff, and then they jump right into it. For someone like me who is a comics head and knows all this stuff, I loved that. And I was like, yes, don't give me that stuff again.
that's
Just
it.
jump right
So
in and
now it's yeah,
go with it. It's yeah, and all that. So, and this film has been, and I mean, the plot of this film, it's a Superman film. I don't really sure that you want to know about what's happening. There's stuff about Superman stopping an invasion of one country by another country and it becoming a political event, and then about Lex Luthor trying to turn the tide of public opinion against Superman because for reasons that he has and all that. And there's a whole bunch of different characters in this because one of the things that James Gunn does that I think he does quite well and I'm quite impressed with is he gives you a world that is already full. It is
yeah.
full. There are other superheroes. There's all this other stuff going on. You meet like Nathan Fillion playing Guy Gardner as Green Lantern. You meet Eddie Gathegi playing Mr. Terrific. Isabella Merced is
You,
Hawk Girl.
Mr. Terrific, I thought was great. I'd never seen Mr. Terrific before. I didn't even know he was a thing in
I
the comics,
I didn't
to
know he
be
was a
fair.
thing. I have never seen him in the
No,
comics.
no, but
I've
he was
never seen.
pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
liked him.
yeah. Even Metamorpho shows up at one point,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Metamorpho
for
shows up,
sure.
and so
Yeah.
this world is already full. It's full of all these different people, and I think that they make a. It doesn't feel as if they are trying to launch a universe. It doesn't feel as if they're trying to go, ooh, here's Aquaman, but ooh, come back later for the Aquaman movie, and oh, here's this, and come back later for that movie. It doesn't feel like it just feels as if this is a world. All people are in it. Full stop. We don't need to give each one of them a backstory or anything like that. These are already developed relationships. These people already have this. And I feel like one of the big things about this film has been it's been divisive. There have been
Mm,
people who've been saying that it's rubbish. And honestly, I was watching this thing, waiting for the film to get rubbish. And I was just going, no, I'm loving this. This is great because one of Superman's nicknames, he has Man of Tomorrow, he has all this kind of stuff. He has Man of Steel, but one of the big ones is the Big Blue Boy Scout, and it's
Yeah,
all
Big
about
Blue.
Superman being like this. He's this Boy Scout who always sees the best in people and is always endlessly optimistic, and they lean into that. This characterization of Superman is leans into the Boy Scout of him, the fact that he just wants to do the right thing and why he wants to do the right thing. They do something very clever about his motivation, where his motivation comes from, and I think that it's actually quite clever when they do that because there's a revelation later in the film that calls his whole big blue Boy Scout thing into question. And I think that this is one of the best uses of Ma and Pa Kent. So Superman lands on Earth and he has this adoptive parents in Kansas. And the actors that they choose to play him, they don't go for like a Kevin Costner and a Diane Lane as they did
No.
the last time, or like people who like, or like a Billy Crudup or somebody like that. They go for people who just look normal. That like they look like the kind of
Proper
people who
proper country farmers. Yeah.
exactly the kind of people who actually look like they could be Kansas farmers. They go for, and I think that plays into the whole thing of why Superman is the way he is, and the fact that this is a stunt casting and all that. But I mean, bottom line, I loved this film.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I did. I found because I thought it was going to be awful. I've got to be honest. When I saw the trailers, I thought, do you know what? This is not going to be that good. You can see the Guardians' influence. I think, like you said,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
alluded to at the start. You can definitely see that because it is. There are
Is
lighter
this is
moments, and it's quite.
it's
And
like
it's
is the lighter is the characterization, is the way the
yeah.
characters bump up
I
each other and everything.
I find myself really enjoying this. I thought, yeah, this is I'm finding this really good. And I mean, even though there's a couple of I could have a couple of rants about certain things like but
Okay, I'm gonna have to bleep that out because
okay, okay,
I'm gonna have to
all right,
bleep that out because that is there is a character. There's a character that shows up in the film, and the second he shows up in the film, I'm like, well, that's what that guy is. And the
yeah.
second he shows up, I was like, they stretch it and they try and do like a reveal later on, and I'm
yeah,
like. Well, obviously that's what that is. That
yeah,
is
yeah, 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 yeah.
obviously that's what
So
that
yeah,
is.
yeah,
That's straight out of the
exactly.
boys.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, oh, yeah,
that
sorry,
is. Yeah.
sorry, Sean.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So yeah, and I mean, I thought all the actors were great, and I liked the pompous Green Lantern as well. I like. I mean, I know you could be, but it was just like, hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
What's all the fuss, man? What's all the fuss?
yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I just it was yeah, it was like a just fun. It was just fun all the way through. I thought, and it kept me interested. And I think it's quite a long film, but it didn't feel overextended. It didn't feel
No.
long, and it went along at quite a nice pace. I thought.
Yeah, it did. It did. I mean, I think that there's obviously because of the sheer number of characters in this film. Some
Yeah,
people might feel like, okay, this is getting a bit crazy and everything, but I thought it held together really well. I was never lost. I never. I mean, there are some bits where you could probably start quibbling about, oh, what
yeah,
about that route and what about that there, but I don't. It was enough for me to be like, you know what? No, that's like there's a character called Miss Eve Teschmacher who is I don't think she was ever in the comics, but she was in the original Christopher Reeve Superman in 1978, and she was Lex Luthor's girlfriend. And then they have a version of Eve Teschmacher here, and the way and what she does in the film is kind of like a bit like, would she be able to get away with that? But nah, let's forget about that. And I think Jimmy Olsen, the characterization of
yeah,
Jimmy Olsen in this, I think is really, really cool because usually he's just like this dweeb who hangs around and is like, yeah, hi,
yeah,
Superman, and everything. But I think the characterization by Scarlett Gisondo in this, I think is really well. I think Rachel Brosnahan, who I love as Lois Lane, she is great. She brings
yeah.
more to it, and I think
Yes,
they give Lois Lane
definitely.
more to do. Like she has more agency in this. And I think David Corenswet, for the first time I saw him on screen, I thought that guy just looks like Superman. He just looks like
Yeah,
Superman
yeah, yeah,
in The
yeah,
Politician, the TV show The Politician, and he works. I even like the dog. I even like I even
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Krypto the
And I
super
mean,
dog.
that character that turns up towards the end as well. It's just like, whoa,
Oh yeah,
where did
yeah,
that
yep,
come
yep,
from?
yep.
Where did that come from? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, terrific. I found that great, that bit. It was like, whoa,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah. I feel like they do it very well. It has a very
Very well.
light. It has a
Yeah,
very light touch. Has a
yeah,
very light touch. Managed to put all these things in there. the fact that you see Superman fight a kaiju, you see him fight, and there's one of my scenes which I love. There's a scene where essentially it's a scene that happens between Superman and Lois, and while they're talking, there's this massive fight going on in the background, and it's like, and it's the kind of fight that in some other films would be this massive central CGI set piece, but this was just in the background while they're having a chat, and it's hilarious.
I think that's a little nod to one of the Suicide Squads, you know.
I did think that.
And then did you think that? Yeah.
I did think that because that was also directed by James Gunn. And
there's another one, like someone who turns up in the interview. So, yeah.
Yes.
So,
So,
I mean, there was a lot in this.
There's some cameos, there's some good stuff. Oh, and Sharon, I know you're giving us blank faces. You're giving us blank face. I have 2 words to say to you. Frank Grillo.
Oh,
yeah, Frank Grillo. Yes.
Now I'm interested. Well, I was going to say the reason why I haven't seen it is I've never seen a version of Superman where Lois Lane is not intensely annoying.
Okay.
And
I think you might like this, Lewis.
Well, maybe, but I'm not convinced that the world needs another Superman film.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't.
So I know, as someone who's,
Supermaned out.
Can I express my prejudice here? I feel like this is a boys' fest film. I think this is like appealing to that inner child who loves the comics, who loves this universe. And I think James Gunn is just like this sort of grown-up lad, really. I did enjoy the Guardians of the Galaxy films, but to me, I'm just thinking, you know what? I just feel like I'm over it. I don't really. Feel like I want to invest in another Superman film. I just don't.
To be honest with you, Sharon, I mean, every single thing you said is 100% fair. Everything is about James Gunn being like a grown-up boy. James Gunn is a grown-up boy, hands down. And as he's grown older, he's learned to sort of layer in things like, pathos and emotion and all that into his films. But on the Lois Lane thing,
embracing what you love, embrace what you love. But you're just not bringing me along with this one, I'm afraid. Yeah. Okay, I'm not saying that to him. I'm just like saying, you know what?
I'll tell you. Okay, we have to move on. But I'll tell you one thing I thought about this is that because when they announced Rachel Brosnahan, because I love her, she's in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and she is brilliant in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And I was worried that they would essentially, as you say, make an annoying Lois Lane or throw her away. I mean, they had Amy Adams as Lois Lane, and they did nothing with her. Mm-hmm. And I was one of my biggest.
I'm not keen on Margot Kidder either.
Yeah, well, yeah,
no, Margot Kidder.
She was, she was a bit annoying, yeah. But this one, she's good. This is. I'm gonna put my hands up and say I think this is the best Lois Lane that we have seen on screen. This is the best live action Lois Lane we've seen on screen. Definitely cinema.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with
the
you.
Best Lois Lane that we've seen so far. So it's. But anyway, that's all. How many stars would you give it, Sean?
I'm going to give it a 4 because I enjoyed this.
I am a 4. I am a 4 all the way.
Yeah, I mean, it was great fun. I really, really enjoyed the movie. I couldn't really, I didn't get annoyed. I didn't get huffy. It was just great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really like this film, and I was shocked because the first review I saw of this was 2-star. Was a 2-star review, and I was like, "What?" So I went to watch it, thinking, "Oh well," and I kept waiting for it to do something stupid. And
I think it's very polarizing. I think because some people love this, some people hate it.
Yeah, I love it. I love the hopeful Superman. But okay, let's move on. And let us talk about Heads of State. And this is a film that is on Prime Video that Sharon and I have seen. Sharon, please tell us what Heads of State's about.
Oh, okay. The two heads of states in the title are the British Prime Minister, played by Idris Elba, and the President of the United States, played by John Cena.
Yes.
And for reasons, they end up in an aeroplane, and crisis happens, and they both basically have to make it on their own through a hostile. I'm trying to think where they ended up.
They first crash land in Belarus.
In Belarus. I know it wasn't Ukraine. I thought, but it's not that far away. But yeah, in Belarus.
It's in Belarus, and they have to make it over to Poland, yeah.
Yeah, they have to make their way to sort of basically NATO.
Yes, to NATO, yeah.
They are, and people don't want them to get there. and
Yes.
they find that they believe they don't know who to trust. Everywhere they turn, they seem to be people they thought were a safe pair of hands turn out to not to be.
Yes.
And so chaos, adventures, running, shouting, shooting, exploding, things happen as they make their way to what they think is a safe place, and until they find out who the baddies are.
Yes.
And they both play to their strengths, and they have a really good time. and they and they invite us to come along for the ride as to watch these seemingly sort of odd couple.
Yes.
Idris being an ex-military man who's gone into politics and become prime minister and has had a bit of a drubbing in the polls,
He's been there
and
six
John Cena,
years.
who's an star, an actor turned president,
Yep.
not outside the realm of possibility,
Yep.
who is riding on this wave of popular support, and he still wants to sort of do his whole Arnie-esque catchphrases to appeal to his public.
Yes.
And so you have someone who's like regards himself as a serious politician meeting someone they regard as being a celebrity politician.
Yeah.
You've got this odd couple mix combined with them actually being who they really are, which is all these
Yeah,
powerful
it's
actors.
kind of like it's one of these things where you have this whole thing where it's like, are they going to go through this film and like work through their differences and maybe become friends by the end? Maybe. So like that might happen. And then you have Priyanka Chopra Jonas who shows up, and she is like the film kicks off at the the La Tomatina festival in Spain. It kicks off with this set piece there where a mission goes wrong, and she's one of the agents on that mission. And a couple of weeks ago, we had F1, and after I watched it, I said it's an 80s movie. It's an 80s movie in 4K.
Yes.
Yeah, and honestly, this film, it's like the 80s are back, man. The 80s are back. And this film is like 48 hours. Like 48 hours, another 48 hours with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. It's like that. Odd couple, go to the whole thing, everything going on. One of them is like all smooth talking. One of them, and it's a blast. I don't know about you, Sharon, but I had an absolute blast with this film. Yeah, because
Right.
I think John Cena, right? John Cena is an underrated actor. I think
Yes, he can play a straight man, can't he?
Yeah. I think John Cena, he could just be there and be like an action star, but the guy is always undercutting everything. The film is pointing out its own flaws and something like that. There is one line that they have where they talk about the villain, and like in the villain, he has this line where he goes, "Oh my God, it's always the," and it fills in the blank. It's kind of like when they say, "Oh, the butler did it. It's always the butler." He has a line where he goes, "Oh, it's always the," and you're like, yeah, this film knows exactly what they're doing. Jack Quaid shows up at one point and has this crazy action sequence, and the way the action sequence is, it's actually quite well thought out. And I thought that action sequence is quite well done. You have Paddy Considine going there as some vaguely Eastern European bad guy. So you have all these things, and you have the British Prime Minister and the American President loading up, cocking shotguns and blowing fools away.
Oh wow!
Yeah, this film is stupid to the max.
Oh yes, it's stupid.
It is,
but it's entertaining stupidity.
It is. I would go one better than entertaining and say it is joyous. This it is.
You can tell they're having a blast when they're doing it.
Yeah, but it's the kind of blast where they had a blast, but they did not forget to take us along with them. Because there's films that you watch.
Some films, like Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12,
Ocean's
whatever.
12 definitely. Ocean's 12 definitely.
They are loving it, and they don't really care.
Yeah.
If we're along.
Like you get the feeling that they said, "Oh, we'll pay you millions of pounds to come and hang out in by the Amalfi Coast or something like that." Okay. And with this one, sure enough, they get to globetrot and everything like that, but you still get the feeling like they have not forgotten to take you along with it. It's directed by, I think it's Elia Nashula, who directed Nobody.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, singer who directed.
So they got a good screen chemistry, have they? The pair of them.
Idris Elba. Apparently, the idea for this film came about because you were talking about the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Suicide Squad earlier, the James Gunn directed one, because that had Idris Elba and John Cena in it.
Yeah.
And apparently, one of the producers saw the chemistry in that film and thought, we need to do more with these guys. And that's how they came up with this film. So
Wow.
they came up because they just wanted to have a film, essentially a big excuse for Idris Elba and John Cena to play off against each other. And they do it brilliantly. They do it brilliantly. All the cheesy moments that you would expect to happen in an 80s movie with like, oh, they're gonna with the buddy cop, blah, 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 blah. All those things happen, but they managed to make them not annoying. It is,
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed this film. I really, really enjoyed this film. Sharon,
Yeah.
over to you.
You know, I guess, yeah, I agree. It's stupid, but it's unashamedly nostalgic, and yeah, and sort of just a bit of a lark, really.
Yeah,
I don't
yes,
think you expected to overthink it. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
As you would back in the 80s, you'd sit down, watch these films, eat probably too much popcorn as it's good for you, and then just enjoy it. It's a
yeah.
popcorn film.
Yeah, it is the definition of a popcorn film. I mean, for example, a example of dialogue, they meet in a corridor and John Cena's like, yeah, look at us, we're back together again. We're like, Dr. Dre and Eminem. Or he's like, I'm Dr. Dre, you're Eminem. And Idris Elba looks at him and goes, I'm Eminem. And they just sort of leave it lying there. I said, in this scenario, I'm Eminem. And I was just kind of like, yes, I think I'm with this film. So how many stars would you give it, Sharon?
I'd give it a solid 3. I think it delivers, but it's fun. But yeah, for me, it's not more than a 3, but it's a good 3. It's a good 3.
I think this is the definition of a 3-star film that on paper is a 3-star film, but they managed to elevate it, and I'm going to give it 4. I'm going to give it. I think that they managed to just about elevate it a little bit more than it should be. This should be. It's more than it should be. I think this film is. Anyway, so that's it for Heads of State, and now we're going to go to Bring Her Back. Now, Bring Her Back. I know this is Aussie. I know it's horror because you guys saw it at the Secret Screaming. So, Sean, tell us a little bit about what Bring Her Back is, and I'm sure Sharon will jump in and tell us a bit more as well.
Yeah. Sharon would probably be more eloquent than me. So yeah, so this basically is a story of there's a blind girl and her brother, and something happens, and the brother's a little bit. He's got a few mental issues, and he's being a bit violent. And their father, they live with their father. Their father dies, and so basically they become adopted or fostered. Is it fostered? Is the word
Fostered.
fostered? Yeah,
Foster,
fostered.
he's not 18 yet, so he can't
Yeah,
become her legal guardian.
guardian. Yeah, so they're fostered, and they go to this. She seems on the surface, she's all sugary and sweet and like proper, But yeah, but there's some rather. She's got some rather nasty ideas, shall we say?
It's like,
And
but
there's
beneath the surface.
beneath the surface, yeah, and she's really manipulative,
Yep.
and she causes situations which don't shine too good a light on the brother.
Okay.
So it's like and she does things, doesn't she? I don't want to give any spoilers, but she does things when the brother's
Yeah.
asleep or whatever, and
You can
they,
see that they're very
yeah,
close, and so she's trying to force this separation between the two
that's it,
siblings,
yeah. So
just to create that distance between them, and an element of mistrust, using
yeah,
their safe word against each other, so that she begins to question her brother's
yeah,
honesty and things like that.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and then there's this other foster child who's a bit strange, shall we say? It's just strange to say the least. Doesn't say much. Sort of disappears and eats glass and things, and it's all a bit weird, really.
Mm.
So
And she
and
treats him differently to them.
so she does treat him differently from them, and
Yeah.
yeah, and there's like thing. I can't give too many spoilers, really. Sharon, you take over and sort of if you can elaborate, and then I'll
Yeah.
give you
Well,
my
I think
feelings on it.
one of the key themes is this woman. She's been bereaved herself. She's lost her daughter, and it becomes clear by the fact that her bedroom is exactly as it was left. All her things are exactly as they were when she died, and she's become a bit obsessed with her daughter, and um, she's almost like grooming this little girl to become her like surrogate daughter
Mm.
by sort of giving her clothes that her daughter used to wear, letting her have her bedroom. And instead of like changing anything to suit this little girl, she's trying to make this little girl, change to be more like
Become
her
like a
daughter.
daughter, yeah.
So there's forces at work here. And then you get these suggestions that this little boy is not just any sort of foster child, but he is being again, I would use the word groomed to fulfill her purpose that is connected to her dead daughter.
Okay, cool. You guys have very, very, very gamefully tried to tiptoe around anything and tiptoe around spoilers and everything like that. So let's go into it. So obviously, I think you guys you quite liked Talk to Me. I think Sean more than Sharon. Sharon, you thought
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't stick it out for the whole lot because
Yeah.
I'm not quite into that sort of
yeah, it was a
pseudo-religious
bit too
horror.
gruesome for you. It was a bit too gruesome for you. But let's go
Not,
into what
not
do you think about
gruesome.
this one?
I think the subject matter probably
Yeah.
was more in Talk to Me was a little bit more not up Sharon Street, but Sharon, yeah. So, but this one was quite interesting. There was some strange stuff going on with like you saw these old like there was an old VHS copy with some strange sort of rituals going on in the background, and you couldn't really make out what everything was.
What was going
Um,
on? There's a
yeah,
scene
what
at the beginning you couldn't quite work out what that was all about.
exactly, yeah. So, and yeah, and there's some there's some like, should we say, secrets in the shed and the fridges and the freezers and the everything else, and the sort of there's all like these
There are moments
strange
of
goes
like
on
grotesqueness.
grotesqueness.
It
Yeah,
goes from being a bit odd to being quite grotesque,
yeah,
quite shockingly grotesque from
mhm,
one scene to another. They do a few minutes where you've got this juxtaposition between what you think is going on, then you turn around and it's like, whoa. So you get that moment so where it is, and I would say you can only really describe it as a grotesque, and I would say there's elements of body horror in there.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I think that knowing the directors, the Philippou brothers, that does sound like them. That does
yeah,
sound like them.
but I mean, on the whole, I thought it was pretty well acted. I thought the brother was he played a really good part.
yeah,
Um,
it was
and I
well
think
executed for what it was, and you think how they did some of those grotesquerie things.
yeah.
It's like, how did you manage that really? Because
Mm.
it really was quite ick. So
Yeah,
that was sort of quite clever how they've done it. And they did some things that we weren't expecting because
yeah, they did.
there are certain conventions in horror films,
Yes.
and they broke a couple of them. And you're thinking, oh, actually, I did not see that coming,
Mhm.
which was very good. There's the other thing though we did say at the time that um what this one of the what the principal character um I forget what her name is, to be honest with you now. I want to say
Can't remember
Lorraine,
now.
but it's
Uh,
gone out of my head.
I'll find it
Anyway,
for you.
there's some things, I would describe them as physical feats that I think were unlikely.
Yeah,
And that's the only thing where you were suddenly taken out of the film when you're going, how did she manage that?
yeah,
That's
I would say that. Yeah,
and so you're in the film and then suddenly you go, hang on, I'm out because I'm
yeah,
that doesn't compute.
yeah,
But I thought on the whole they did deliver it really well. They kept that claustrophobic, that slightly you slightly out off edge. Their cast is very limited, so the world becomes a smaller world, and that sense of isolation, that sense of other, is quite introduced quite well. So they did deliver some good moments in it,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was. I mean, we both, we didn't really dislike it, did we? And I mean, we stayed there and watched it pretty good, and it was quite interesting. It was in it, sort of, yeah, it was interesting how it was done and
I would describe
quite
it as an oddity. It was a bit
oddity.
of more of an oddity than outright horror,
Mm,
but
yeah,
no, it had some it was had some interesting moments in there,
it did.
certainly.
Did indeed. So, I mean, for this would be a solid 3 star. I think I would give this one. Yeah,
Yeah, I would give it a 3. The things that take you out of the film were enough for me to lose at a point
Yeah.
because that's what thing. If you're in this claustrophobic, enclosed world, you've got to stay within that world. As
yeah,
soon as you get jolted out of it, then it takes you a step to get back in again. And there was just a couple of these anomalies where I'm thinking, I don't think that character could physically do
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah,
took me out of the film enough to go, hang on, that doesn't make you can't that wouldn't
yeah.
happen.
No,
And
you
so
better do that.
as soon as you step back from the film, you lose
Yeah.
that atmosphere, you lose that sense
It,
um
The
of
people, if
oppression.
people see it, they'd know the bit we're talking
yeah,
about.
Sharon, you sound a bit like your rant that you went on 28 years later about climbing up the stairs and
Yeah,
how long it takes people to climb up a flight of stairs and how that just sort of takes you like yeah, oh no, I'm out.
yeah. It's like, well, yeah. What were they doing then for the 20 seconds it took them?
Yeah.
Yes, that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
Where you're thinking,
not that I want to remind you about that because I know that you are quite
no,
incensed. I know you were quite incensed at that. So okay, so how many stars? 3 stars, you say?
I would give it a three as well because yeah, I think it was good. For what it was, you know what you're getting when you come into anything that's got that sort of picture on the screen and bring her back.
Yeah,
You know, it's not about, sort of puppies and kittens, is it? It's so you know what you're getting.
yeah.
But the odd moment, yeah, sort of take it away from me. So I would definitely give it a strong three, but a three.
For anyone listening, just listening and not seeing us on YouTube or anything like that, Sharon was talking about when she said the picture on the screen, it's the poster for Bring Her Back. Google it, you'll see what she's talking about. Right. One thing I was thinking about this is like it's because obviously it's an Australian film, and I think I'm beginning to like this wave of Australian takes on certain things, and because they go off in different directions and all that, and that made me think about the surfer that you guys reviewed recently,
Yeah.
Julian McMahon has recently
Julian
died.
McMahon. Yeah. So the guy who plays like, shall we say, the bad guy in the surfer.
Yeah, he's sort of
Yeah.
Messiah complex guy.
Yeah, Julian McMahon, some people might know him as Doctor Doom from the Jessica Alba, Ewan Griffith, Chris Evans original Fantastic Four movies. Some people might know him as the guy from Nip Tuck. He died because apparently,
Wow.
yeah, he died recently, and I was just like, what the? He's like, oh, it was only 58 or
Yeah,
something, and
had cancer.
yeah, he had cancer, but he hadn't told anybody about it. And this was because I hadn't seen him for a while, and I actually thought the surfer was like, yay, we haven't seen that guy for a while. Come back.
Yeah.
Next thing I hear, he's dead. So I just wanted to have a moment to say, Julian McMahon, rest in peace. And yeah, man, you were a scary screen presence. You were a scary, unsettling screen presence, and I even saw I saw The Residents on Netflix with him where he plays the Australian Prime Minister the other day, and I was thinking this guy's coming back, and the next thing you know he's dead. But hey, life. And I have nothing more profound to say than that. And
It was not a bad film to end your career on,
yeah,
The Surfer.
the surfer is a good
And
one.
his role in it was, yeah, he delivered his role perfectly.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharon, for saving us that. And now let's go on to Daylight's End. Shaun trawling the bargain basement. You know, that's what it is. You know where there used to be a Blockbuster, and then Blockbuster would have this bargain basement bin of just videotapes, then DVDs that just be sitting there for you to go look through, and you find some random title that you've never heard of before. That's what you're doing with Prime Video. You're going through the bargain basement of Prime Video.
I am
Shaun.
going through the bargain basement. Indeed,
These aren't the
indeed.
ones that you see face out on the shelf. They're the ones you have to flick through.
You have to dig.
Yeah.
You have to dig through
Yeah,
You're
it.
never
you
going
do.
to see them
That's
facing
it. I
out.
go doot 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 doot. I do. I get it. Have a good old troll and think, oh, that looks quite interesting. So occasionally I watch the trailer
Yeah.
before. But anyway,
So
anyway,
tell us about Daylight's End.
Daylight's End. Basically, it's a zombie movie. But a take on a zombie movie. Starts off. There's a girl and a bloke in a police car, and they turn up, and they're trying to find some stuff, and then a group of nasty people turn up, kill the bloke. They're just going to do nasty things to the girl, and then someone comes along and's a bit of a savior, a bit of a cool dude, shall we say, aloof, everything like that. Anyway, she says, "Oh, come with me. We got a community. So they go back to this community, and basically the community all gets together and decides they're gonna escape. And these zombies, I guess, is a bit like they only come out at night. They don't like the daylight. So
Mm-hmm.
that's basically the story. And then there's, believe it or not, there's an alpha. From there's an
28 years
right,
later,
and this
yeah,
is
the
from
alpha.
2016. Right, there's an alpha, right, who's obviously probably killed some of the loner's family type of thing. So he's obviously after. He wants to get the alpha.
Yeah.
So, and then it's basically a shoot 'em up. It's what you would think from a zombie film. Quite a good shoot 'em up too. Quite.
Okay.
You don't have to. It's not headshots. It's just any shots with these guys. So it's pretty good. So there's a lot of shooting which I quite like. It's. I think it's pretty well acted actually. There's the actors in this are sort of actors you would see in. They're not sort of mainstream actors. Or I
No.
think Lance.
Yeah, Lance Henriksen.
Lance
Lance
Henriksen's in it.
He's in it. I'm like, what the? Because
Yeah,
you have the poster behind you. I'm like, is that Lance Henriksen? What's he
Yeah.
doing there?
Yeah. So Lance Henriksen, he's like the should we say he's the leader, the boss, the military type boss of the community that's got there. And then the zombies, obviously, that they've got this old prison that they're holed up in, and they send people out to pick up cars, whatever. And there's some rather nice. What I liked about this is some of the characters get killed, which some of the, shall we say, the primary characters,
Yep.
they do a couple of silly things, but I mean I can forgive that. So
I
I
mean,
would say this.
I
Yeah, go
mean,
on.
okay, don't tell me whether I'm right or not, but looking at the
Right.
cast of this film and looking at everybody and see that Lance Henriksen is like head and shoulders, I don't think he's going to be in this film that long.
No, 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 no.
I don't think he's going to be in this film. Now, let me just put it that way. I feel like they said, Lance, can you come and do this for a day? Okay, give me all this money. Here's all this money. I'll show up for a day. This is giving me that kind of feel. But anyway, carry on.
But I mean, I see. I think that's great when some big characters get killed off.
Yeah.
It just makes more sense because they're not all right. That they're good. They're good combatants. But there's going to be some that you're going to get some casualties along the way. So
Especially with zombies.
yeah, especially with zombies. And when loads of them turn up and we do a chase and all that. So and you've got the alpha that there's it's different alpha to the one in 28 years later, but it's still the alpha with a little bit of a hood. Who. Go on.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I'm looking at the poster of this now, and it even has like a symbol on it that looks very much. I mean, it's a version of the one you have on your screen, but I'm looking at the one on Wikipedia, on the Wikipedia page of Daylight's End, and it looks very much like the 28. The sort of 28 years later, 28 days later,
Yeah.
so almost atomic symbol.
Yeah.
I think this might be a Loman ripoff.
Well, this was from 2016, so
Yeah, but it came after 28 days later.
oh, right, okay, yeah, I forgot about that. When was 28 days later then? What year was that, do you reckon?
2002.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, makes sense then.
Yeah.
So,
But
well, even
no.
if it was a rip-off, it was still quite good fun. I quite enjoyed it.
Good
Reminded
stuff.
me a bit of some episodes of The Walking Dead when there's mass zombies and they have to shoot loads of them. So yeah, so I'm going to give this one a 3-star. I'm going to give this one a 3-star. I enjoyed it, so I must have done. So I didn't finish watching it. So I think you'd enjoy this one, Sharon, because it's pretty well acted, and
Yeah, I don't mind a bit of zombie mayhem.
no, and it is zombie mayhem pretty much, which is quite good. We quite like. So,
I just like
but
it.
you're not a big zombie fan, are you, Toes?
No, not as a genre. If somebody says zombies, I'm not immediately there. There has to be something
Yeah.
else to get me there, other than
Yeah.
just it's a zombie film. So it's like it's a bit like vampires. I'm not
Did you
immediately.
ever get to watch the Kingdom series?
That was a Korean one, wasn't
The
it?
Korean one, no, I never
Korean
did.
one.
I never
That
did.
was
No.
great.
That is a class of its own, basically.
Yeah, and that makes so much sense as well. It's brilliant how they, they bring
Everything part of
not
it
to
is
review it,
realised and
it
yeah.
is, yeah, it's worked out so well. That Kingdom's great.
All right, cool, good. But I'm beginning to think that we need to make Sean's bargain basement troll. It's a bit like how you have supermarket sweep.
Supermarket sweet, yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, we
Sean-
can do that.
Sean's bargain basement. What has Sean found in the bargain basement this week?
Yeah.
All right, cool. But okay, all that's left to say is who do you think has won this week? We only have two things in either Netflix or cinema. So who do you
I
think has
think
won this
for me, it's cinema.
Superman probably triumph for your cinema ratings.
week?
So we had a 4 and a 4 and a 3 and a 3, but so it's pretty close. But I think cinema probably just edged it.
You're right. Cinema just edged it. It is a 3.5 for cinema and a 3.25 for Netflix. All in all, a good week.
Good week.
I think
yeah.
there was a lot that could have tripped off. I think Superman was not a definite. Superman, as you can see with the people who don't like it, Superman could have been like a banana skin this week. Didn't have to be good. Heads of State is way better than it has any right to be. I mean, it's way better. Yeah, so yeah, it could be and bargain basement. You never know what you're going to find in that bargain basement. So until next week, when we will see whether people have stopped running scared from Superman and something else, and release something else.
I think there's only going to be Fantastic Four. Can't see anything else.
That's what I'm thinking, and people are going to be running scared from that as well. So,
Yeah.
so it might be a while. If you are not a fan of superheroes, unfortunately, cinema might not be for you for the next 3 weeks. So, but until that time, when we find out whatever is actually in cinema, and we get to watch something. It is a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye for me.
Thank you very much for joining us. Oh, in age order, just like a good Nigerian thing. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye.